Frank T. Hopkins was a Western horseman who was not only ahead of his time in his appreciation of the Spanish Mustang breed, but also in his training methods and his techniques for endurance racing.
The Spanish Mustang, they're a part of the spiritual resonance of this country.
These horses are 1 in a million. They're Picassos, they're not screen prints.
We're trying to preserve a breed, not create one.
I think they're what God intended them to be.
It's been handed down through generations. Grandparents talk about it on Lakota Reservation, Blackfeet Reservation in Montana also. You know, it's a known story, the story of Hopkins and Hidalgo.
This guy had a pinto horse, and he used to race all kinds of people, and he kept beating them.
And now, folks, rough riding with Hopkins and his horse, Hidalgo!
My dear Mr. Harris, this is how my going to Arabia came about. During the World's Fair in Paris, France, I was contesting against cavalrymen of all nations of the world, men who had been picked by their own government and sent there. Naturally, I met many good horsemen, among them one Raz Rasmussen, who controlled the entire camel freight in Aden, Arabia. He told me the endurance rides that took place in his country every year and asked me to visit there. He spoke particularly of one ride that was run every year for more than 1,000 years, and no one but Arabs rode in that race.
I find the entry of a Western infidel sacrilege.
Good luck to you, too.
Hidalgo was 8 years old then, and I trained him for the long ride. He was as fine a looker as could be found. I had ridden him on some hard rides and knew what he could do if called upon. The long ride started from Aden. The distance was 3,000 miles. The year was 1890. Frank T. Hopkins. I mean, to understand why a horse like this, a little Mustang, could survive a 3,000-mile race across the Arabian desert, you know, much less compete against the Arabian breed, you have to kind of go back a good 400 or 500 years to the old world and see where they came from.
The first horses to arrive in North America are believed to have come over with Cortez in the year 1519. He brought 16 Iberian horses. Eventually, these horses became most concentrated in the area of New Mexico.
The Spaniards encountered the Pueblo tribes, including Acoma, Hopi, several others. They conquered those people, suppressed the native religions, and they used them as agricultural labor and also as herdsmen.
They became excellent horsemen, but never content under Spanish rule, they eventually revolted.
The Indian uprising allowed several thousand horses to actually escape. So those horses were actually taken by Indians who were knowledgeable of the horse. They had been taught to use it by the Spaniards, and now they had the opportunity to use them.
Before Spanish contact with the New World, the Native Americans did not have horses. So they were largely confined to river valleys or places they could get to in a day's walk. You couldn't be more than a day's walk from water, for example.
With the arrival of the horse into these cultures, there was an incredible change in tribal mobility, in self-identity.
When you're at ground level, you're intimidated by a lot of things. When you get on a horse, you're the intimidator then.
The hunting ranges expanded, warfare changed in its technique.
When the first white man seen the first mounted warrior running at him with 30 miles an hour, it was an intimidating sight.
Every tribe has a legend, as you would say, of how they acquired this, the horse.
When the Indians saw the first one the Spanish brought over, how it could run, carry a man through battle, become his friend for life, I figured it had to be a sacred animal.
A holy dog, or sacred dog, there's where the name comes, Shunkalakha.